Hello everyone, my name is Bailey Willis. I'm the First Nations Specialist Mentor at Apprenticeship Support Australia. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today, the Whadjuk Noongar people of the Noongar Nation. I'd also like to acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today and recognise the real strength and knowledge and connection to culture that has been passed down through generations. Thank you for taking your time to be here. Today we're going to be discussing topics about your apprenticeship. These topics are changes that can be made to your apprenticeship, support that is available through Apprenticeship Support Australia, and financial supports that might be available to you. The first topic, changes that can be made to your apprenticeship, we will be talking about specific things like suspending your training contract, extending your training contract, potentially changing employers, changing registered training organisations, and changing from full-time to part-time. For many of our mob, there can be times where family responsibilities, cultural obligations, health concerns, or work challenges impact your ability to complete your qualification. That's why there are different opportunities and options available depending on your circumstances. These can include pausing your apprenticeship for a period of time, extending your apprenticeship if you need more time to complete, changing your employer, changing your training provider, or changing from full-time to part-time employment. Every situation is different, which is why it is important to have a conversation early and understand what options might be available to you. Empowering mob to have conversations is a hard task. Sometimes the hardest part is to start the conversation. A lot of apprentices worry about what their employer might think of them if they bring up these conversations. In order for you to have conversations with your employers about specific issues, I advise to talk about three things. The first one being, what's going well in your apprenticeship? The second is, what challenges are you facing within your apprenticeship? And third, the solution. How can they provide a solution to help you in order for you to complete your qualification? For example, I'm enjoying my apprenticeship and I want to keep progressing. I've got some family responsibilities coming up that may affect work. I'd like to have a yarn about what options are available in order to support me. These conversations can happen face-to-face, over the phone, or by email. The important thing is to have them early. The earlier people know what's happening, the easier it is usually to find a solution. One thing we want all apprentices to know is that you do not need to do this on your own. At Apprenticeship Support Australia, myself and our team will be here to support you and help you through your apprenticeship journey. We can help explain options that are available to you, advocate for you when you need it, connect you to services, and support you through challenges you might face throughout the course of your qualification. We also run events, workplace yarning circles, online communities, and other opportunities to stay connected. If you are struggling, reach out, please. That is what we're here for. You might be asking yourself, what financial support is available for me? To talk about this further, let's bring in Candice Mallon, who is the Apprenticeship Administrations Manager at Apprenticeship Support Australia. Thanks for joining us, Candice. I've got a couple of mates doing apprenticeships, and one of the questions that they have asked is, why do some people get incentivised and other people don't?
Yeah, that's a good question. We get that quite a lot actually with calls coming through. So every situation is different for an apprenticeship. So there can be different eligibility criteria from what type of apprenticeship you're doing to when you start to what your occupation is that you're working towards as well. So that could be why some apprentices are getting payments and some aren't, or they both are, but they're different types of payments.
Great, thanks for that. And if someone was looking to start an apprenticeship, what supports and financial supports would be available to them?
So it depends on what they're doing as to what might be available to them and what qualification they're doing as well. So we do have things like the Key Apprenticeship Program for those who are in clean energy or the housing and construction industry. There's also the apprentice support payment as well that we have if people are doing something on the priority list. There's also the Australian Apprentice Support Loan that's available, and then there's things like living away from home allowance and that sort of thing as well.
Perfect. And how would one sort of claim these?
So everything is claimed through the government's portal called ADMS, which is the Apprenticeship Data Management System. We love acronyms, so everything is managed through that. So apprentices have to create a profile on there using their MyGov, and you just log in, and that's how you manage your payments and see them becoming due, and claim them and provide your pay slips through that.
Perfect, sounds good. Let's say an apprentice isn't necessarily feeling comfortable in their working environment and they're wanting to sort of change to a different employer. Does that affect their financial incentives?
Yeah, so it can do. So if an apprentice stops being active in their apprenticeship at any point, so whether you cancel or whether you suspend for whatever reason, your payments will stop. And then depending on how you then enter back into an apprenticeship, it could change the effect date. So you might go from having your claims due on the 16th to then due on the 23rd of the month, depending on which situation you sort of go through, whether it's a transfer or a recommencement.
Yeah, and let's say they recommence. Would they be eligible for the claims for their recommencement date?
Yeah, so generally if you're recommencing, that will count as what we call a new commencement date. So that will reset the date that your payments are due on.
Perfect, thank you.
Nice.
A lot of mob travel to work to and from regions and remote communities. Is there any sort of incentive that might be able to help apprentices cover the cost of travel?
Not necessarily for attending work, but definitely for attending training. So there is something out there called the Travel and Accommodation Allowance that's provided by the state government, the Department of Training and Workforce Development, and that is there for apprentices and trainees if they're travelling more than 70 kilometres to attend TAFE and that sort of thing. So with that, I guess the only exclusion would be if your employer pays for your travel, or they pay you a travel and accommodation allowance as part of your wage, then you wouldn't be eligible for the travel and accommodation allowance. But additionally, if you're actually working in a construction type job, the construction training fund will actually pay extra money on top of the travel and accommodation allowance to sort of top it up a bit for you as well.
Perfect. And just another question with the travel allowance. Let's say a situation where you're training and working in the same place. Would you be eligible for the travel allowance if your workplace is also your training environment?
I think that would definitely be a question for the department. It just sort of would depend. I would say that's a very unique situation that we don't usually see a lot of apprentices having the TAFE located at their work site. So again, that would be best for them to answer.
Perfect. A lot of people sort of assume and just generally think they're not eligible for incentives. What would you say to that?
Give us a call. We like to tell people that they're eligible, or if you're not sure, we can talk you through the whole process, and if you're not eligible, we can let you know why. It can be very difficult to navigate the whole system. We completely understand that. So if you do have any questions or you're not sure anything, just give us a call, send us an email. We're here to help.
If an apprentice was to take one thing away from this conversation, what's the main thing you would like to tell them?
I think the main thing would be that support is out there. We do have a lot of different things that we offer, from our mentoring services to obviously financial incentives as well. So we do have things like the living away from home allowance. So if you are someone that has moved out of home for the very first time, to either start your apprenticeship or to remain in your apprenticeship because your parents or your guardian has moved out of state or something like that, we do have that funding available as well, depending on your situation. And then as well, we do have other supports in place for, that we can help your employer with, and your TAFE if you do have a diagnosis that might be affecting your learning at TAFE. We can also, see what the situation is and try to help out with that as well. But the biggest thing is just call us, have a chat to us. We're here to help.
Definitely. Yeah, call that number, contact us via email, jump on our website. We should be able to support you. Thank you for your time today, Candice.
No worries.
Before we finish up, I would like to leave you guys with one last message. Everyone's apprenticeship journey looks different. There may be times when life, family, culture, or work creates challenges along the way. If that happens, don't feel like you have to figure it out all on your own. Reach out early, ask the questions, and have a yarn. Apprenticeship Support Australia is here to support you. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video, and we wish you the best on your apprenticeship journey.